How he handled things, I think where we are right now, I'm looking for a little bit of a spark, a little something different, and I think now's a good opportunity for it.
What do you feel like he can add that maybe, in terms of spark, that maybe he wasn't able to in those first 6 starts?
Well, I think the biggest thing is he's more comfortable in what we're doing. That was evident in the game, in spite of the fact that they knew we were going to throw it. They kept coming, and I thought he handled those situations very, very well. He got the ball out a couple times hot, got it out to where they needed to be thrown. He threw some really nice balls. His decision making was very quick. So I just think that now he's had a little bit more of an opportunity to see the rest of the offense, feel the rest of the offense, and I think that's a big part of it. The other part I think is he got a little bit of a reset. He missed several games, had an opportunity to heal up, to look and feel better, and I think that's exactly where he is right now.
Ron, as you're going through the thought process, how much did you think back to when you made the trade for Carson in the first place? The reasons why you decided we needed to go get a quarterback like him?
I thought about those things. I thought about his ability to make certain throws as well. I think that's a big part of, why he's here. Obviously, is because we believe he can throw. He can throw the ball, and downfield and make those long, deep throws on the outs and on the 7 routes. Those things are a big part of what we do as an offense.
And is Taylor going to be the number 2? Because it looked like what we saw, he was getting deeper QB reps as opposed to the standard backup reps.
Well, he's beat up a little bit today, a little sore, so we didn't have him throwing the ball really. That was probably the biggest thing you guys didn't see. He didn't really throw the ball much.
What are you looking in terms of improvements from the defense? And obviously having Cam Curl back if he's back would help. But what are you looking for in terms of improvements from last week?
Well, the biggest thing and the only real thing that got us a couple times was we gave up a couple of big explosives that hurt us. And we had contained most of those for a while, and so that's something that we can't allow to happen. I thought again, for the most part, there were some good things, a lot of good things that we did defensively. But probably the biggest thing that stood out was the fact that we allowed a few explosives that were touchdowns, and we hadn't done that in a while.
Making the move, aside from the obvious importance of this game, the broader postseason implications, how much does that factor in, knowing you've got to get both of these to keep playing?
Yeah, I mean, we want to win both these obviously to get into the playoffs, and that's a part of it. And I think that's also part of the reason behind it. I mean, we the last 3 games were 0-2-1, and so looking for a little something extra to give us a little something to get over the hump, and it's important, especially with these last 2 games that we want to win.
Being able to get back at home these last couple of games, any particular message to the importance of?
Well, I mean, the obvious is you want fan support, obviously, and you want an atmosphere that's conducive, and hopefully we can get that.
Carson had an opportunity last year with Indianapolis. They needed 1 win over the final 2 games. It didn't happen. What do you think that would mean for him to have the opportunity again to kind of maybe correct what happened in the past?
Well, I think, that'd be great for him, first of all, but 2 different sets of circumstances, 2 different teams. But for him, obviously, it would be great. It'd be great for us as an organization to do what we need to do to get ourselves in the playoffs.
And then going back to Heineke real quick, if he's healthy, will he be he'll be the backup?
Yes.
Okay. And then Antonio Gibson sprained. He's listed knee/ankle. Where's the sprain at?
Knee/ankle.
Okay.
No, I mean, it is. Okay. I mean, he's dealing with both of them. So, it's just, it happened in the game, and that's why we took him out of the game and put Dax back there to return the ball. That's why, Jonathan Williams finished up the game for us. Both those backs were pretty sore coming into the game for the most part. And once we got to the end of the game, we felt just got to be smart with these young guys. And so we took them out and put Jonathan in, and Jonathan did the job that we thought he would.
When we last saw Carson with Terry, it looked like their chemistry was still a work in progress, and then Terry and Taylor seem to connect a lot. How do you make sure, or how can they go about establishing a better rhythm this time around?
Well, I think the biggest thing more than anything else is now that I think he's more comfortable with what we do and how we do it, an opportunity to see how things are going, have a feel for the rest of the offense. I think it'll help him as we go through this.
And the running game is what you've talked about a lot, the downhill running game. Having a new quarterback who can make a lot of these throws that you're excited about, is there an emphasis to Scott, like, hey, let's not forget what also got us here? How do you balance getting
Well-
Carson in, but also the old kind of formula?
We're going to do what we think helps us win the game the most, in all honesty. And so there's a lot of things that we got to be able to do.
What throws or plays show you that Carson has a better understanding of what you guys want to do now?
Well, one of the first things was when you see him throw the hots, and I thought that was probably one of the really good things, because again, if you go back to the last game he played against the Bears, they had a backside blitz on our first third down, and it came completely clean. And it's one of those things that if you sees that, he throws that dart, and it's a completely different play. And now you see him do that, and you say, okay, he's seeing those. And then you see another pressure, and he gets the ball out again quickly, and you say, okay, he sees that. Those are part of the things. We ran a deep cross that he hit in the game, and again, it's all understanding to get it out and when to get it out and who to get it out to.
And on the defensive side, did you see any cause for concern in those explosives, or is that something that you expect to be, pretty correctable?
They're very correctable. I mean, the jet sweep, we didn't set the edge as tight as we needed to force it to stay inside. We got stretched a little bit. We had a linebacker get cut off and pulled down, and we had a safety in a corner basically in the same crease, and that's a recipe for disaster. And so we know we can do better than that. And then as a safety, on one of the deep throws to the tight end, we bit up, and they had two guys there that could have made the play.
What's your level of concern with Antonio and just his availability this week?
No, not a lot of concern. I mean, we'll see, how he is tomorrow. I mean, that's the thing that we have to understand. It's never about, now. It's always about how he is later in the week. So as we get further in the week, then the concern really happens. But right now, no. Just watching him, get his treatments and doing things he needs to do. We'll see how he is.
And how did you go about informing the quarterbacks and the rest of the team of the switch, and kind of what was their reaction?
Well, for the most part, I talked to several different players yesterday and just kind of, explained to them what I was thinking, if they have any thoughts, and, listened to a few of the guys who had ideas and thoughts as well. Talked to coaches, and then I talked to the quarterbacks individually and just let them know where I was headed.
And just to clarify, were those team captains or just
a little bit of everybody.
Got it.
Yeah, back here.
When you finally made the decision in your mind, where are you? Are you home? Are you in the office? Are you in the car?
Well, honestly, David, it's something I've percolated over for 12 years, always wondering what I would do in this situation. And going into the, into the situation, going back to after Chicago, I always thought if that happened, I'd go with my number 2. And if he was rolling, I would continue to go with him because he was the hot hand. But I also knew that at some point there would be a time where we may need to have a spark come back. I mean, I really did think all this out. And so when we got to that point, and as I thought about it yesterday, I was in the office. And having gone through all these scenarios in my mind, the thinking is now would be the opportunity. And it just kind of matched up with what I've been thinking about for as long as I have. And so this situation, because I knew eventually it would happen, and it did happen. And so having thought through it and kind of saw these things fall into place like they had, what I'd always thought about came to fruition. So I just felt now is the time to do it. And with 2 left to go and, right into a playoff, hopefully, we've got to be able to do it and get something out of it, and hoping to get the little bit of a spark, like I said, that, could help get us going.
That you weren't terribly concerned about the offensive line, that maybe it was made out to be more than what you think it is. But in shifting to back to Carson Wentz, how much of an adjustment does that take on the line?
Well, I think one of the things that, obviously, and what I said yesterday is really, you get to a certain point of the game where they can pin their ears back and go, it makes it hard, and then you also got to consider who you're playing against. I mean, it wasn't as if we were playing, the 32nd ranked defense. I mean, we were playing a pretty doggone good defense, that's for sure. So sometimes, things happen. But the shift back to Carson really is something that the guys will have to get used to, just the way the cadence goes. It's probably the first and foremost thing. And then secondly is, again, understanding what he's going to do and how he can do it with the ball. I'd like to believe that him getting the ball out as quick as he did, going through his progressions like he did in those couple of series that he had, gives these guys pause to go, okay, he's comfortable, he gets it, and so we can adjust and adapt, and I think they will.
Matt and then John, last one.
Ron, if you were thinking about kind of the team might need a spark at some point, back in November when you were thinking about the quarterback situation, did you want to go back to Carson and just stuck with Taylor because he was winning, or how did Carson's kind of presence just boom over all this?
Carson's presence never played into it. Like I said, I was going to stick with it because it was the hot hand. I mean, it would have made, it would have been asinine to make the change then. But as we went through the last couple of weeks and, I saw some things that I thought, okay, maybe we just need a little change right now. And then after this last game, I thought, okay, everything that I've thought about, everything I've prepared for, this moment, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
John, last one.
And then a lot of times you could just talk to the quarterbacks, tell the team. Why did you want to talk to some of the leaders?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that, first of all, they knew what I was thinking. And then I wanted to hear from anybody that had an idea or thought. And, granted, at the end of the day, it's my responsibility, to do what is best at this point, or at least I believe is. But I wanted them to know, the guys I talked to. I didn't get a chance to talk to everybody. A couple of guys got out earlier yesterday. I'd hoped to before I had a chance. And so this morning I finished up with a couple other guys I was able to get to, and then that's when I talked to everybody.
All right. Thanks, Coach.